Hello guys and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm here with Rurouni Kenshin Season 2 Episode 10 reaction. So the previous episode we had the battle, the remaining part of the battle against Joe. Kenshin was obviously very strong, a lot more stronger than him, but the problem with him was that he was lacking any type of weapon. Still he did his like absolute best. He like almost defeated him, but by the end of it, like his injuries and everything else, he couldn't really withstand it, and he wasn't able to properly defeat him in that sense. um, and also he had to like protect the kid as well, who was being literally being taken a hostage. So that guy, I forgot his name, he went in and he decided, after listening to Kenshin, when Kenshin said that it's not the weapon that makes the future, it's the person wielding it. He went in, grabbed the actual sword made by Shaku, and gave it to Kenshin. And in the end, um, after using that weapon on him, on Joe, he was ready to like let go of his oath of not killing anyone, because Joe was going to attack the kid. So he was ready for that, but then he realized that was also a Sakabato. So the final and the best work of Shaku was apparently a Sakabato, and apparently this was a Shinuchi. The one that Kenshin had was a Kageuchi, and that is when Kenshin remembers that Shaku told him that, oh, take this. This is kind of a failure. After a long amount of time, if you still spew these nonsense, then come to me. I'll give you a proper one. But then obviously he died, and now he was able to get his original sword, the Shinuchi. Yeah, and that's where the episode ended. So in the end, we did see a little bit of Kenshin's past, and I feel like we might continue the past. So we might get actually like a little bit of Kenshin's backstory today. Let's see. Let us begin. I'll be putting the subtitles at the timer here. Sync it to whichever is your preference, and let's get started. Okay, here's the countdown. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, here we go. Fifth year. Hmm. Satsuman Choshuman. Hmm. Right. Right. Whoa. Who's that? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I thought at first they were talking about Genshin. They're talking about someone else. Okay. Um. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Also, no. This is a person as well. He's like, what? What the? This is a big one. Yeah. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. I feel like someone's gonna end up being dead over here by the end of today's episode. Damn. Hmm. Oh, it's awake. On the losing side. Yep. Oh no, he's yeah, he's running away from. Oh. Oh, okay. I was wondering. They made it seem as if she like saved other cats as well, kittens. I was like, where are the other kittens that she saved? And there you go. Yeah. That seemed like the cat was talking. Okay, right. Hmm. Yeah, that's the Sakabato. Yep. Yeah. Oh boy. Damn. Oh, what the? Hey. Oh, that's what do you call them? I forgot. Um, Jitte? It wasn't. Oh, okay. I thought it was something else, like private eye. Okay. Wait, were those guys talking about this guy? Oh my god. So they were talking about him, I think. I don't think with the. Okay, I thought I was like, okay, should you be like going on top of? Oh no! Oh no! Yeah, the. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh no! Is it those guys? What is that? A bear? What is that? Okay, I thought that was a bear or something. Looked like one. Right. Oh boy. Right. All the cats. Yeah. Yeah, they were also talking about in the first part of the episode. Hmm. Yeah, he remembers. They were talking about him. Oh boy. They know where they live, so they'll come here. Oh no. Oh god. And Kenshin is like running high fever. And like he said, he still hasn't taken out the sword from his sheath. Oh no. Hmm. Yeah. Damn. Whoa. Oh, he's going to. God damn. Oh, there you go. Kenshin is here. Oh, yo. Yeah, you guys still haven't noticed the mark. I think they should know about Genshin because okay. God damn. He still hasn't used his Sakabato. Right. Oh my god, that's yeah, okay, he realizes the mark. Yeah, he's sick. That's why this is and he still hasn't even though it's a Sakabato, he's still hesitating in unsheathing it. Hmm. Alright. Yes, there you go. It won't kill anyone. It's perfect. The back and the cutting edge are reversed, yeah. Oh, I see. So Kenshi never realized up until now that this was a Sakabato. Okay, that's why he was hesitating in pulling it out. I was wondering why. Because he thought it's an actual sword. I think so. He didn't know. When he pulled it out, then he realized like, oh wait a minute, this is. Hmm. And now it's pointing towards him. The cutting edge because it's reversed. Yeah, like I said, it's facing towards him. Oh, oh, there we go. He's in his natural element now, bro. Oh, you're getting a concussion. Are you sure he's not dead? I think he just got permanent brain damage. He's so happy. He's like, oh my god. Is this the other guy that he was talking about? You know, um, um, yeah, you pretend that is also a similar. It's also a sin, not okay. That was easy. Okay, that resolved quite peacefully. Nah, he has things to do. Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's pointed towards him. Yeah, I guess he never mentioned that this is a Sakabato. Like yeah, I just assumed that Kenshin knew, but it would make sense. He had no idea. He never unsheathed it, and that's why he was hesitating so much to pull it out. Yeah. Oh. Gozaru. Hmm. Yeah. Sakabato first attack. All right. Okay, that was today's episode. Hmm. Okay. And that was today's episode. So, today we had a little bit of a flashback episode. We saw what happened immediately after Genshin left and decided to not kill anymore, and how he ended up unsheathing his blade again. But this time, the blade was not for any killing purposes. It was a Sakabato. And so, like, here's, I think you could say, like, this is like a small little misunderstanding I had while watching. I thought he knew this was a Sakabato, which I guess they never really said anything about that. I don't know why I just assumed that. Like, Shaku just gave him the Sakabato and told him, oh, you shouldn't, like, run away. You started your life, you've continued your life up until now by the sword. You should end it by the up until the end. You should keep using the sword as well. Like, live by the sword and end, like, up until the very end. So obviously, he never mentioned this was a Sakabato. He just gave him something, and obviously Kenshin immediately assumed this was another sword for killing people. You know, because that's what Shaku has made up until that time. So that's why he was fearful in unsheathing the sword. He had it sheathed up and he didn't use it up until the very end when he realized he has to unsheath it. But then, after unsheathing it, he realized it that, oh, wait a minute, this won't kill. This is something that's a blade is reversed. So, the blade points towards him. So that's when he realized that, oh, okay, so right, that's like, I can use this. I can use this and go full out with it. Because the blade will never point towards the enemy, it'll always point towards me. Yeah, and that's what happened. So I guess, like, like I said, I was, up until then I was like, okay, maybe he's, even though it's a sakabato, maybe he's still struggling to put, like, unsheath it, because it's still a sword, it's still a katana, it's probably like affecting him, and he cannot unsheath it because of the horrors that he has done up until now, and he wants to turn a new leaf. But even though it's a sakabato, he still couldn't unsheath it. Like, that's what I was thinking, because I don't know, I just assumed automatically that he knew that was a sakabato. But yeah, then it makes sense. He didn't know that. And then when he pulled it out, he's like, okay, so I can use it now. And that is why, as the main reason why he was fighting at the beginning, like barehanded, because he wanted to not kill anyone. It was at the very end that he decided to unsheath his sword, because he realized that otherwise he won't be able to protect these two. Um, yeah, and there you go. That is what happened. Now, in today's episode, we get to see this person. What was his name? Higuchi or something? Wait a minute. Where is that? Okay. Okay. This is the first time we've met. I've heard the tales of glory of the Hitokiri Battosai. Oh, here we go. Oh no, Sukasa Suga. Okay, wait a minute. Was that the name that he mentioned in, like, I think like 2 or 3 episodes ago, when he was talking to, um the old man, what was his name? Omin, no, o Okina, I think that was his name, wasn't it? Yeah. uh he was telling him that, oh, find two people. One person was obviously Shaku. Was this the second name? Because there was another name that he mentioned, which I cannot remember what it was. I think it was something like. Wait a minute, just a minute. Who is? Wait a minute. I think I'm mixing up the names. Who is? Okay, I'm thinking of some other name. I got mixed up with the names. Never mind. Um, yeah. So this is this person's name, and like I said, I cannot remember if this was the same name that. Okay, I'm a revolutionary warrior from Choshu, just like you. Sugasukasa, yeah. So, anyways, let's wait. I think I'll get my answers. But I can just go back to the previous episode and check the name if this was the same name that he was using, because the fact that he named himself means that he's probably an important character who's going to come into play in the future. And from the looks of it, he seems like he'll be our ally, because at first it seemed like he was against us, but then we realized he's also another revolutionary. And when Kenshin was like, oh, like, what you're doing is wrong, and he was like, oh, but I didn't really, and he's like, oh, you tolerated it, you turned a blind eye to it, that in itself is another, like, sin that you committed. So if you're supposed to be a revolutionary, the people who we're fighting for, the ordinary people, if they are in peril, you know turning the blind eye is not something a revolutionary should do. And then he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. um, from next point onwards, I'll make sure not to do that again. I'm terribly sorry. Here we go. I will absolutely swear something like this will never happen again. Yeah. So from this, I'm assuming he's supposed to be on our side. I don't know, or at least it seems like he's going to, like, he like heeds like Genshin's words, what he said. So, automatically, like, yeah, he was kind of turning a blind eye to it. But when Kenshin told him, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. From next point onwards, this will not happen." Him just saying that and admitting his mistakes makes me think like, oh, he's probably someone to be reasoned with. So maybe, like, he'll be on our side in the future. I have no idea. If in the future we meet this guy, which I'm sure we will, otherwise they wouldn't name a random character, would they? you know. So yeah. Right. Either way, I don't know. I just assumed he was like, when Kenshin was like telling him that, oh, this is not okay. I was just assuming that he was going to lash out at him or something and be like, oh, like what? But he was pretty, like, he was pretty respectful about it, and he was like, oh, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, and he even said that I'm going to make sure that this never happens. Um, so yeah, right. That's nice, I guess. At least he listened. Half of the characters that we are used to in anime never listen. They never listen. They just do their own thing. They don't care. Right. Okay. And yeah, that's what happened. In the end, Kenshin saved this family, and yeah, everything worked out well for them. Hopefully, you know. Yeah. And now back in the present, Kenshin looks at, the other, this guy, uh, Chaku's son, and his family, and it kind of, like, overlaps the previous scene in his past where he saw that family in front of him and this family. So, you know it's like, yeah, people are trying to live peacefully, and, you know i should I should make sure that nothing can obstruct that. Now, there was another thing that was mentioned in today's episode, which was, that lady. She told Kenshin that, oh, like, you fought a lot. Now you can just give up your sword, and, like, nobody will blame you if you you drop down your sword and, run away from it. But the thing about Kenshin is that he was never that type of a character. Like, I feel like what the advice that she gave, that advice is applicable to a few people, or like a certain, like, amount of people. Not everyone will be like that. For example, this guy, his her husband, he was also like a private eye. He was also in the middle of battle and everything, and that's why he lost his hand. So, he settled down. He gave up his sword and he settled down. And, you could probably say that that was his time. He probably thought that, what, it's time for me to stop and give up the sword. But for Kenshin, as you can see, it's still not his time. I'm sure he will give up his sword way in the future, probably when he feels like it is okay to give up his sword. But currently, at that point, that was not his time. So he himself realized it, because I'm sure, in his head he thought a lot about this, and, the only, I guess, solution that could come to him for not killing others is give up the sword, because that's the only thing you can think of. He has been using the sword to kill so many people, and now that he doesn't want to kill anymore, the only thing that you can think of in this situation is that give up the sword and, try to live a normal life. But after seeing the family in danger, he realized that he is not that type of a person that can give up the sword and live peacefully, blissfully, and, like, oblivious to everything that's going on in the world. He cannot. He has been doing this. Like, here's the thing, we still don't really know his main, like, reason for being a revolutionary. Like, I'm sure there must have been some kind of a trigger or a reason for him for becoming a revolutionary. Like, obviously we now know that he's keeping on doing this because he wants to see a peaceful world, and for that he's ready to use his sakabato to stand against injustice. And he has made an oath not to kill. That is like his current goal now, we know that. But was this always his goal? I doubt that. I'm sure it started for something from something else, for some other goal, something in his life, which we still don't know. I'm sure we'll get to know that later, you know. But at this point, he realized that it's still not my time. My time will come when peace is when peace is established properly. I cannot just live peacefully, giving up the way of the sword, and just mind my own business. I cannot do that. You know, situations like this, whenever this will happen, I will try to help them because that's what I want to do. I want to save the people so that they can live a peaceful life. Because that's what most of the revolutionary has been doing up until now. They have been fighting for the people. They have been fighting for a reason, and to give up on those people is something that they won't be able to, he won't be at least be able to do, uh, especially if that's happening in front of his eyes. So it's still not his time. He has to pick up the sword again, but at the same time the dilemma was that he doesn't want to kill. That's where the Sakabato comes into place. That is where the Sakabato, the Kageuchi that Shaku gave to him, that made him like that gave him a lot of help at that particular point of time, because he wants to fight, he wants to save people, he wants to protect them, but he doesn't want to kill. So the Sakabato is perfect for that. It won't kill anyone, but you'll also be able to use it to protect yourself and the people beside you. So yeah, like it's the perfect thing for Kenshin. And up until now, as we have seen, he's kept using the Kageuchi, but now finally it's the time for the Shinichi, and he can now use this to. This is like the better version, the best one. So this will help him reach his goal. And someday in the down the line in the future, maybe he will finally be able to like lay down his sword and you know give up give up fighting altogether. But yeah, that is not now. That time is not now. Right. And yes, there you go. That was what happened today. Uh, Good episode. We got to know a little bit more insight up in on Kenshin's life, a little bit of backstory we got to know. But we still haven't seen anything before this. Like I'm sure we'll get more deeper into his story in the future. But this was just a small little peek into his life after he decided to give up on the sword. You know, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the day when we'll get to know like his actual backstory, like why he became the Hitokiri Batosai. Was there a particular reason? And like a lot of other things which I'm sure we'll get to know in the future. Either way, for now, this is how everything started. Um the first attack using the Sakabato, his beginning of um, living a life where he doesn't kill anyone. Right. Okay. And yeah, there you go. That was today's episode. Now I was kind of fearing at the very beginning, like as soon as I saw like a happy family living over here, and as soon as I saw like the lady was pregnant, I'm like, oh god, something's gonna happen. At the end, something is gonna happen, but thankfully nothing happens. Everything is okay. And yeah, they like Kenshi was able to protect them at the up until the very end. Right. And that was my overall impression of today's episode. So that was that. Now let me talk about this episode scene by scene. The very first scene, you can see Kenshin is taking shelter from the rain. He's sick. He's like running high fever. You can probably tell that from him, looking at him. Then there was like a little kitten over there as well, and Kenshin suddenly hears a few people outside are making a commotion. They were hunting down the stragglers. At the same time, they were looking for this guy. What was his name? Hmm. He looked like a farmer. Talks about his hand. Yeah, Giichi of Edomashira. Right. So this guy, they have found him, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to kill him." Now, I at first thought they were talking about like they were looking for Kenshin, but then then I realized they're talking about someone else, and that's why Kenshin also like lowered his guard a little bit here. And yeah, they keep moving. They go away from there. This guy, what's his name? Sukasa, or something like that. He, oh no, Suga, I think that was his name. uh, he says that, oh, now we're looking for stragglers, like like it's if you want to do your personal thing, do it later, not now. Like, now's not the time. And yeah, they go away from there. Anyways, then this lady comes in and finds a little kitten, and yeah, she decides to take it home. And also she finds Kenshin over there as well, takes Kenshin home as well. Next scene, we see she has brought both of them to the house, and her husband, Gichi, yeah, he he's like, "Oh, you brought another kitten or something," and she's like, "Yeah, this time there's another person with them," and we see Kenshin, right. Anyways, from that, like as soon as he said that, oh, so you have brought another one, I was like, oh, so she has been doing this for a while. That means she probably has a lot more kittens here and there, which we see later on. She has like 4 or 5 of them. Right. Anyways, okay, and then Kenshin is taken, taken into bed. He's like put in, he's like, like the fever and everything. They like take care of him and try to reduce the fever, I guess. Um, while all of this was going on, Kenshin is still sleeping, so he was seeing nightmares and everything, nightmares of him killing others, and that fear kind of catching up. Not fear, but that, what do you call it? That guilt, that realization of what he has been doing. It's like catching up to him, right? And then he wakes up, and yeah, and he sees that he's in this place. He gets acquainted with this couple, and and the lady like opens the door, and like the 5 other cats come in. No, this is way more than five. One, two, three, four, five, six, 10 cats total, 10 kitten, and all of them are like jumping around Kenshin. Right. Anyways, next day Kenshin wakes up at the morning, and he also notices that Geech is like missing a hand, and he realizes it's probably because of the war and everything. Right. And yeah, in the morning he's just there. He doesn't know what to do. He's like lost. He has no idea how he should live his life from here onwards. And he's also kind of, you could say, a little bit not sure what to do with the katana that is been given to him, because up until that point he still didn't know this was a sakabato. He thought this was like a normal sword, and the fact that Shaku gave it to him, he is in a dilemma. He doesn't know what to do. Like, he's remembering what Shaku told him, that, oh, you've been using the sword up until now, you cannot just give it up like that. Like, we are people who lives in the battlefield. It's our nature to live by the sword and die by the sword. Like, what are you saying? You cannot just run away now. So all those things are coming to his head, and he's thinking about it. At the same time, he's also doesn't want to kill. So it's like being like a contradictory to both of it. Like, he wants to like not kill, but at the same time he knows that he cannot give up this life that easily and that quickly. So it's like contradicting. Both the things are contradicting each other, and that's why he doesn't know what to do with his sword. Yeah. Right. And these two have a conversation. Obviously, Kenshin realizes that these two, they're very, like, they're like a nice couple. They're like living peacefully here, and this is the peaceful world that they wanted to see. And yeah, Kenshin's just looking at them. They're farming. The kittens are playing. Kenshin's looking outside. Right. And yeah, this is where the kitten drops the thing. What do they call it? Wait a minute. Jitte. Yeah, wait, that was Jitte. I thought this had another name. Wait a minute, let me just check. Like, okay, Jitte. I don't know why, but I thought that this had another name. Like what I remembered is like this has like one thing. There's another one on the other side. What are those called? It looks like a trident, like an upturned trident. That one. What are those called? I think I was mistaking that with this, mixing both those up. Uh oh, here we go. Sai, Sai. Yeah, there you go. That's the name. Sai. Uh Yep. Okay. Yeah. There you go. I was mixing both of those things up. I was mistaking a psi for the, because psis have, this is like one turn. It is like this. It's like both sides have like the roundabout thing, and it looks like an upturned trident. So yeah, that is different, and that is a psi. This one is a jitte. Okay, this is different. Right, and it's written here that they were like weapons used by the police or something. Blunt melee weapon used by the police in Edo period Japan. Yeah, there you go. Right. Okay, so Genshin's like, oh, it's a Jit, and that's where we get to know that he was, this guy was a private eye, and he was trying, he was against this group, and they were trying to extort money from villagers and everything. Gichi stopped them, and and while doing all of that, he got taken, by surprise, and his hand was chopped off. And this lady here, she saved him from that situation. Not from that situation, but they left him to on the side of the road, I guess, and she rescued him and took care of him. Yeah, and there you go. And she keeps back the jitte, and she's like praying. She's like, I hope a healthy baby will be born. I hope everyone is, yeah. Now after then later on, she goes to town, and she sees some police officers. The new government, they are like taking in these revolutionaries and other stragglers, and like mistreating them. So she's like, we cannot let them get to know that Kenshin is here. Later on, Gichi realizes that someone is keeping an eye on them, and yeah. Next, we see Kenshin is there, and they talk to Kenshin. They tell him that like, you better, like, after you get better, you better run away from Edo. Like, this place has become, especially for like people like you. Uh, they won't let you go. They'll hunt you down. So just run away from here, and just give up your sword, live a peaceful life. And this is where the lady says that like, it's okay to give up the sword. But like I said, Kenshin is not like that, or at least it's still not his time. He's someone who cannot give up his sword, because he wants to protect the current like generation, and see that it leads up to a peaceful world. Okay. Next, we see Kenshin was inside the barn. Obviously, he's sick, so the lady's like putting like the water handkerchief on his head, lower his fever. And this is where she talks about like saving Gichi when his hand was cut off, and and how they got together, and how now she wants to live a peaceful life. Uh, right. And here, Kenshin realizes that, wait a minute, those guys, they were talking about him, so they're probably targeting him. And that is when like a commotion starts, and he realizes later on that these guys are already here. They're attacking Gichi, and threatening him. The lady comes in with the jitte, but Gichi takes the jitte from her and tells her to go back. And obviously, instead of fighting, he knows he cannot fight against these many people. He's also missing one hand, so he's like, forgive, like like, take my head, don't do anything to my wife and my kid. But obviously, these guys are not the type of people to listen. They're like, oh no, we'll kill all of you. But then Kenshin comes in, stops this dude, and he's still like like high fever. He still has high fever. and still he was able to like almost like knock the other guy out. He's also barehanded. He doesn't have a weapon because obviously up, he didn't realize that was a sakabato. He thought it was a sword that would kill, and he doesn't want to kill. So he tries to do everything barehanded here. You can see, and yeah, and this is where this guy, Suga, I think that was his name. He realizes that this is Kenshin, the Hitokiri Battosai, because of the mark. But before he's able to do anything or warn any of them, Kenshin decides to unsheath his sword because he realized he cannot really do anything alone with bare hands, especially because of the fact that he's actually trying to protect someone. He cannot do it barehanded. If it was him himself, he could probably keep dodging and and parrying. But he's trying to, he has to protect two other people. So he cannot do that barehanded. So he decides to unsheath his sword, and that is when he realized the sword, the blade is upturned. So basically, instead of the lower side being sharp, it's the upper side. So the upper side is the blade is pointing towards him. This is a very good symbolism, you could say. Basically, he kind of sees this as a way of him standing against himself with the sword drawn towards him because the blade is towards him. So up until now, he was pointing the blade towards others and killing people. Now the blade points towards him. And that's why they kind of showed this in a more, I guess you could say, symbolic way, where they showed Kenshin is facing Kenshin, and the other Kenshin is pointing his sword towards him, which is literally what is happening because the blade is now pointed towards him. Like now the blade points towards me. Yeah. So I guess it's just that a Sakabato, it won't kill ordinarily, but if you try to, kind of use the other side to hit someone, it can do damage, I guess. Like, it can like cut you, because it's not that they take out the blade completely, they just turn the blade upside down. So the blade is just pointing towards you. So you might still hurt yourself on it or cut yourself on it. There is still a possibility. Yeah. Okay, there you go. And this is where, as soon as he has his sword in his hand, he is, the Hitokiri Battosai. He can use his like swordsmanship. Hiten Mitsurigiryu, he uses that and whacks this guy into concussion. And this is where, like, this guy Suga, I think that was his name. He's like, "Oh, I was not wrong. It is you. Hitokiri Battosai." And he's like, "Who are you?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a revolutionary warrior from Choshu, like you." And he says, like, "Come with us. Like, like, Japan is ours. Like, we have been following. We have one following in the footsteps of Kyoto. Japan is ours. Let's come with us." And he's like, and Kenshin's like, "Because of this, you you're just exploiting ordinary people now. Is that what you're doing? Is that what revolution is in your book? Just just like exploiting people. That's if that's how the survivors act, those that died cannot rest in peace." um and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was not me." But then Kenshin also stops him there. He's like, "No, like, doing evil deeds yourself is obviously evil, but seeing evil deeds yet pretending not to see them is also evil. So you're just looking the other way. That's not the correct method." At which he's like, "I'm sorry." He like does a full, like, like a full dogeza. He does his head on the ground. He's like, I'm sorry, I absolutely swear I never do anything like this again. I won't let anything like this happen again. So if something like this repeats, he'll stop them now." And Kenshin's like, "Oh, okay, right, yeah, that's better." And there you go. That's where it ended. Like I said, I just thought, I don't know, I just thought that he's not going to listen. The battle is going to continue. Kenshin will have to knock everyone out. Blah blah blah. Same old thing again, like same old routine. But yeah, it was surprisingly, he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do this again, and I'm also going to make sure this doesn't happen again in front of me." So yeah, and everything was okay. They went away, and yeah, they're not going to target them again, which is also good, right? Either way, after all of that, Kenshin now is fine. The next day he's fine. His fever has gone down, I'm guessing. And these guys, they're like, oh, you can stay, you can stay here from here onwards. Like, we won't have any problem. But Kenshin's like, no, I want to travel the world and see the world, what has happened to the world, and then what is going to happen to this world. I want to look it through my own eyes. And yeah, and that's where his flashback ended. So now he has a Shinichi, and he thanks Shaku for giving this to him. Sees the kid in front of him, and it kind of reminds him of his past, that family in his past, and yeah, that's where it ended. So great episode, and yes, there you go. That was how Kenshin started using the Sakabato, and that's how that's from when he has started on his journey of not killing anyone and protecting others, living a peaceful life. And yes, that was episode number 10 of Rurouni Kenshin season 2. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to press the like button, subscribe if you're new to this channel, or you haven't subscribed. Comment down below anything you want to say, anything you want to let me know. I'll check them out. That is it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week with another episode of Rurouni Kenshin. Until then, goodbye and have a nice day.